In 3, 2, 1. Liam Dunster moves flag. Liam, would you like to break? Thank you. First frame, Liam Dunster to break. Time running.
So, Chris Melling against Liam Dunster. Is there a bigger contrast in styles between two players? Liam Dunster wins the lag and gets frame number 1 underway. And Chris opts for yellows, but already pushed one of the yellows safe. An unwanted little flick. He's got problems already here. He would have wanted to leave the yellow to the top right corner. He would have wanted to use that as a ball to develop the yellow that's tied up with the two reds, but he's forced into potting it now. As I say, that unwanted little flick. What a clever shot. What a clever shot. Played it exactly that way. A double to flick off the red and opens up the game. I mean, what a shot. To have the foresight to even see that shot. Wow. So Greg Batten is through against Callum Singleton. Jordan Shepherd went through against Beneath, so Jordan Shepherd against Greg will be up in winners round 3. Clint Irons is on the hill against Scott Muscat. Phil Harrison against Leiden de Bonis, still tied up 7 frames each. Ben Flack 10-7 against Jimmy Croxton. Mark Boyle is trailing Dom Cooney. Jack Whelan's just taken a slender lead against Darren McVicken 9-8. Shane Thompson on the hill against Jamie Burnett, and Chris Day and Declan Brennan is locked up at 10 frames each. They're going to play a massive frame over on table 15. Losers round 2 this is. Jason Ellis against Sam Bircher, Carl O'Donoghue against Greg Dixon, Chris Melling, Liam Dunster, as you can see, Stefan Rossidi, Johan Attard, Scott Crawley against Ben Tanner, Scott Gillespie, Harjeet Singh, Lee Clough, Arfan Dad. So those are some of the games coming up. We'll keep in touch with all of those games. In the meantime, while I'm looking at the screen, Chris has run out of position, slightly looking to play the double. Just comes up short. And Liam Dunster approaches the table. Now, will have the option now, if he wishes to. And I think that's what he's played there. I think he's tried to come a little bit further down the table. What he's looking at doing is playing the plant red onto yellow to pop the yellow into the bottom right pocket and leave Chris snookered on the other 2 yellows. But he's just come probably a foot short of where he wanted to be, so I think he'll still be looking to play that. just needs to reroute. Now he'll be looking to play this one to top right with a similar plan in mind to come down that right hand side of the table. Just needs to come just below middle bag. And he's going to be using the rules to his advantage. Well, maybe, well actually, looking at it, this red does pot inside the yellow. So he can pot this ball and open up the whole table for him. And he does. Need to be careful where the yellow went. Just goes. He's okay. Underhit that by a fraction. I think naturally you'd be looking at coming twice across table, but the red doesn't pot into right middle, so I think he's just going to have to take his medicine here. Just maybe try and stun up. Oh, he's going to take the more difficult ball now. It's good. Nice clearances. It looked at one point he might have to play some kind of tactical shot in the middle, but didn't need to. Nice clearance. And it's early honours to Liam Dunster. He pots the black and takes a 1-0 lead in a frame that Chris Melling should have won.
Second frame. Chris Melling to break, trailing 1 frame to 0. Time running. Red ball's in play.
This is good from Chris. Good reply. 1 frame each. As I say, could be 2-0, but still on serve. Tom Keir asking for my score prediction. Oh, don't put me on the spot. I am going to say Liam Dunster wins 8-6. And watch me be an absolute country mile out.
Third frame, Liam Dunster to break, 1 frame all. Time running.
The breaks just not coming out for Liam at the moment. Still obviously very early in the match, but this is not without its problems. I think the red does actually pass into, he's having a close look at it now, I think it passes into top left above the yellow. Maybe we can get an overhead shot, which would give us a better view of that one. Oh, there you go. Wow. Does it? It definitely goes off the back of the yellow. But obviously there's a red tied up on the left side rail. Yellows, well, they've got a ball tied up. It really is just a question of preference here. I think, me personally, I prefer reds. The 2 reds towards the bottom left, they both offer the opportunity to get that ball out that's on the side rail. And nice set.
Red ball's in play.
So now it's just about this one ball on the side rail, and he'll want to do something about that off of. I don't think he can do anything off his next shot, but he'll want to do something. Well, I think he is. He's going to try something here. No, that's no good. That's no good, obviously. So he's just trying to spin the cue ball around. Just wanted to come out somewhere around about the bottom of the white line, and would have left himself an angle to kick the red out. The ref must have called touching ball, which was a big advantage. Meant he could just nudge to the bottom rail. Had that not been touching, that was going to be a lot more difficult proposition. So Chris just playing a little containing shot. I think Liam won't be playing anything extravagant here. I would think probably just glance off this red quarter ball and leave the cue ball somewhere around about where it is now. Well, I say nothing extravagant. He certainly did. He went for glory, and that's I would say it's unlike Liam. He is an attacking player by nature, but quite often will take a slightly more conservative approach if possible. And in that one shot, I mean, it was a difficult pot, but knowing that if he misses it, it's most definitely going to cost him the frame. And that could be a very costly miss, because it may not just cost him that one frame, it may cost him the next one as well. Next time he comes to the table, he could find himself 3-1 behind. So, what about you guys? Tom saying 8-6 to Melling. Skeggsy saying 8-6 to Dunster. Rob Bowen asking, is Jake McCartney still in? Yes, he is. You can go across to qscore.com and find out all of the scores. I see a few people asking for different scores. There is a link that Marcel has posted. There you see all the scores on the screen there. But if you do want to see previous scores, the ones that have already gone, and also take a look at the draw, then qscore.com is where you want to be. Declan Brennan has lost. So Decky, the winner of event 1, is now in the losers section. Chris Day beat him in a Hill game, 11-10. And Chris Day, will play Craig Marsh in the next round. Shane Thompson will play Adam Davis. John McAllister will play Steve Petty. Neil Raybone will play Josh Kane. Sean Chipperfield will play the winner of Jack Whelan and Dan McVicker. They're currently 10-9. The winner of Dom Cooney and Mark Boyle will play the winner of Ben Flack and Jimmy Croxton. The winner of Leiden de Bono and Phil Harrison. And by the way, Leiden de Bono is currently beating Phil Harrison 8-7. Will play Clint Hansen, and Greg Batten will play Jordan Shepherd. So that's how the winner's side pans out. Very conservative break there from Chris. We saw him play this. We saw him play this yesterday. The bigger break wasn't working for him, so he was trying this. It's almost a tap break. It's probably like about 30% of his power, and but even then, look at the split. Unlucky not to find a ball. Ball's going close to right centre and that top left bag, but it's given a good opportunity to Liam.
Yellow ball's in play.
That's no good. Didn't cue that at all well. I was wondering there why I would have thought personally he would have played that with running side to land on the top cushion. I think there's a fair bit of room behind that red. If he lands on the top cushion, then playing it with check side, you can kill the ball off the rail. As it did then, it just seemed to die on him. And well, he's going to have to play a double. It's not a double, played a treble. Just a tiny bit out of sorts at the moment, Liam. Beaten by John McAllister yesterday. Liam usually one of the most consistent players in the field. you just can't make these kind of mistakes against Chris Melling. I don't think Chris would have necessarily played to flick off the yellow. Maybe doing him an injustice there. Maybe he did, but that's nice. A nice touch. Landed on the uppermost ball into the middle. Now these look like they're too close together to be able to get the cue ball to the potting angle. But there you see from a different angle, he's got the room. But it's a very thin cut. He doesn't like it because he's running into the black as well, so he's just going to reroute, overhit that one. He's looking to stay further towards the cushion and play the one in bulk. Now he's got problems. He's too straight on the one to middle to be able to do anything with the cue ball. Even if he could screw back, he's got the wrong angle. He can only screw back in the line that the cue ball's in now. He's going to have to pull out something good here. Well, he's just left a super thin cut along the top rail. Great shot. Where's the cue ball going? It's come up short. So misses the double, and has let Liam back in again. Liam will be absolutely overjoyed that he's getting chances, because as I say, he's just a bit out of sorts. Now the yellow closest to us on this bottom rail will pass below the red. He can also play it off the red to open the pocket up for the other yellows. If he wishes to, he could play some kind of tactical shot. I don't think he will. But there is a tactical shot whereby he could pot yellow onto red and snooker Chris. Looking at kicking it out. Well, that's a result. Can we just get a different camera? I'm not sure whether the yellow's pass into that pocket. Yeah, I think he's had a touch there. He's okay. The top one will definitely go. The bottom one, I'm pretty sure will as well. But if it doesn't, he can play the top one off the red to clear the pocket. I'm pretty sure they both go into that pocket. The one closest to us will just go in off the knuckle, but if he so wishes, he can play this yellow off the red. This clearance will not be a problem from here. He's only got half a pocket, but it's actually unmissable because he can play it into rail and it'll go in off the back of the red. And that's what he'll do, because it just opens up his angle slightly. There you go. Just widen the angle slightly to to allow him to come back up for this yellow. He seems to be playing a little bit quicker today than you normally see him. Normally slightly more measured. Definitely seems to be up in his pace. Maybe it's the influence of the shootout, playing on that fast clock. It's adjusting slightly. You can see at the top there, Phil Harrison's still trailing. Dom Cooney is through against Mark Boyle. Mark Boyle's pain in this comp continues. He's just doesn't seem to be able to get a foothold on this winner's side. He's done something not quite right for him. But he's got a dog's life. He's in the loser's side. Darren McVicker was beaten by Jack Whelan after Darren was off to a flying start. Look down the bottom of the screen there. Drew Hughes is beating Tom Cousins 5 frames to 1. What's going on with Tom this weekend?
Fifth frame, Liam Dunster to break. 2 frames all, time running.
Another missed ball for Chris. Liam's going to be over the moon that he's getting these chances.
Yellow balls in play.
Do you know what? I think even though it's quite congested, I think everything goes. The only question is whether the yellow passes the red to the bottom right. But I'm pretty sure you can, yeah, just play this, nudge the red aside, and the yellow then goes into the right centre. Again, this is one about cue ball control. This frame is now all about whether that the red passes into bottom right pocket. Sorry, the yellow passes the red into bottom right pocket. The one between the black and the red. And I think it does. Just taking his time over this one. He needs to just avoid the contact on the red. So just need to play a little delicate shot. There you go. You can see it does pass. So this should be frame. Can't see any problems in this one. Just back to his routine again. Just taking a touch more time. pretty sure he's played for the one in the middle there. And that could prove to be a problem. Only because he's forced now into taking this one into... he's okay. He can get through to the one along the bottom rail. Yeah, he should still be fine. Just cruise past the red. Yeah, plain sailing now.
Frame.
3 frames to 2. Tom Cousins pulled a couple back. Was 5-1 down. Now 5-3. Phil Harrison's levelled things up. Jimmy Croxton's levelled things up. That one's gone hill. Harjeet Singh tuning up against Scott Gillespie. Scott Gillespie at risk.
Sixth frame. Chris Melling to break, trailing 3 frames to 2. Time running.
Same break again. Unsuccessful again. As I say, that was working for him last night. But, I think he needs to make another adjustment because that one's not paying off at the moment. You can't keep giving a player of Liam Dunster's quality these chances. Arguably, Chris could be 4-1 up here.
Yellow balls in play.
Been impressed with his referee over the last couple of days. He's very clear in all of his announcements. Always seems to be positioned well. You can tell he's a pool referee who also plays the game because he always positions himself well. He knows where the players are going to be shooting from next and what they're going to be going for. He gets himself in behind them, anticipating where the player's going to be. Often unsung heroes. The referees do such a great job and don't get nearly enough credit. Probably just betwixt and between where he wanted to be. Probably playing for the one to the right, but now he's going to take the one to the left. Now he's still going to go for the one to the right. Just stuns across one rail, back onto the baulk line. He'd like to just drop this one in, but yeah, he had just enough angle. He didn't want to finish below the yellow. If anything, straight was fine, or just above. But he's straight. He can just run through. Leave himself a slight. Oh yeah, he could just pinch the bag slightly. It's perfect. Well, from a slightly stuttery, jittery start, this is back to what we expect to see from Liam Dunster. And I can tell you that Jimmy Croxton won that heel-heel game against Ben Flack. It's a good game. Phil Harris and Leiden DeBono are still tied up at 9 each. Scott Gillespie's pulled a frame back against Harjeet.
Liam Dunster to break, leading
It's now 2-1.
Time running.
One thing noticeable is Liam almost always goes down and checks the racks to make sure they're racked up properly. And the referee must be doing such a good job that Liam has not been checking the racks. He's not cued that one very well. The worst kind of mistake. Straighten off into the middle.
Ball in hand, time running. No.
I've just been bigging up the ref, and he said time running, and walked over. He was just about to give Chris the red ball. Chris has got a smile on his face. Pulled the wrong ball out of the trap. Brilliant. The referee is our resident, I won't pronounce the guy's name right, but he's a lookalike of the guy that's in The Hangover. Is it Zach Galifianakis or something like that? His name is, I think. Zach something or other. The guy that was in The Hangover anyway. I'm going to have to look him up now. Can't think of his name. Yeah, Zach Galifianakis. Looks just like him. Someone mentioned yesterday he looks like the caddy from the Happy Gilmore film. I can't picture who that is though. Another really poor error from Chris. Just hasn't looked to be at the races the last couple of days. He's got a lovely pair of shiny shoes on, hasn't he? I just noticed them glittering in the background. You see Chris's shiny shoes? Do you reckon he's borrowed them off Ben Rowland? Look at those sparkling in the background.
Extension call.
I wonder if they're the infamous shoes that, that Darren Appleton once. Well, let's not go into what Darren Appleton did with Chris Melling's shoe. But, well, that has definitely not gone to plan. He's tried to cover the bag and leave Chris in a snooker at the same time, and he's failed on both counts. But how's Chris going to hold this? I think he's looking at holding it in the. He looked at doubling it and then holding the white ball in the, like rattling it in the jaws. But missed on both counts. I could be mistaken, but I think that Liam's going to play another snooker here. Maybe. I don't know. It's, I think he will, but given that it's Chris Melling he's against, there's not many safe places on the table. He's tried to play a clever little shot there, just to nudge nudge two balls out at the same time. So again, this is epitomises Chris Melling. He's not looking at just making the pot in the middle. He's looking at the angle he needs. So he's going to go 2 rails, bottom rail, side rail, and then flick the yellow. It's no good going 1 rail because he'll have no position on the black. So he's looking at bottom rail and then the cue ball somewhere around about where the S is, the Supreme logo, just about where his Q-tip is. Flick it in, and the cue ball will track up and leave him on the black. So again, you see him measuring the distance. It makes you wonder, because he's taking a measurement off that right-hand side rail. How is that relevant? But it clearly is. What a shot. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's so consistent.
Frame.
And this is why you can't give him a chance. There's no point snookering him. He's taken measurements off about 4 different cushions, and look at this. Contacts just where the S is on the Supreme, there you go, just below it. Flicks the yellow in, leaves himself on the black. Absolutely perfect. Just ridiculous. Phil Harrison on the hill now against Leiden de Bono. Tom Cousins, from being 5-1 down, is now 6-5 up. No big deal. 5-1 behind, yeah, no big deal. Just reel off 5 frames. I'm Tom Cousins, that's what I do. Suddenly, this game, which has been a bit swingy so far, and then looked very, very much in the favour of Liam Dunster, is now back on serve.
Chris Melling to break, trailing 4 frames to 3. Time running. Ninth frame, Liam Dunster to break. 4 frames all, time running.
So after a nice clearance from Chris, 4 frames apiece.
Extension called.
That Phil Harrison Leiden de Bono game's still not over. That game has now been going for 3 hours.
Red ball's in play.
Try to flick the red. Just missed. Pretty sure that red doesn't pass down the rail, past the yellow. Well, he must think it does. Over the pocket's no good, so he must think it goes. Yeah. Well, I say over the pocket's no good. That's not too bad. I think Chris is looking at playing this thin into middle bag and sending the white ball into that yellow to either get it out or pop the red. Doesn't like it. He hasn't got the angle to play it, so clatters into the reds and opens them up, and he's been really unlucky there just to stick in the pocket. He's getting no run. I think he's having to play a double. Yeah, that was a tough ask. Really tough. Nice control. It was more difficult to control that than it looked. It was way into the pocket, and you saw him play it with just a touch right hand side. You saw the cue ball spinning to the right, just to make sure that you got the right angle off the knuckle. And that's just a touch that comes with hours and hours and hours of practice. You just naturally judge it and trust your back arm to do the work for you. So Liam retakes the lead. 5 frames to 4. So that game with Phil Harrison is over, so I have to assume that he won, because he was on the hill, and he did. A valiant effort there from Lydon de Bono. Carlo Donohue's through already 8-2. Sam Bircher's through already 8-1 against Jason Ellis. Tom Cousins now on the hill against Drew Hughes. He has won 6 frames on the spin.
Frame. Chris Melling to break, trailing 5 frames to 4. Time running.
What a break. So Chris obviously changing up his break again. It's gone from that tap break to the big front ball, timed it beautifully. He's going to come out nicely, you know. No easy opener. He's either got a tricky little plant on the yellows or a horrible little cut on the reds. And he will want to take reds because they're much easier. So this is game ball. Could have gone wrong. Little flick on the yellow and that white could have been in off, but he's okay. So eyes are drawn to the black, because he should be getting everything here. So it's whether he's going to try and flick that black out. I'm not convinced that he's got a ball that's going to give him the opportunity to flick it out. Don't think he can. There's nothing near it. So I think all he's got, any shot he's going to be able to play, is some kind of reverse double. Oh, he's going for the long one here. I would have thought he could have played the other one, but obviously doesn't have the angle. Oh, could just drop it in the middle. I tell a lie. I mean, he could screw across and get the black out, but he's compromising position on the red, so he won't. So he's going to have to land. He wants to land just above the blue spot, leave himself a reverse double. Probably higher than he'd actually like. Should be okay. No. No. And that came from the fact he was just a little bit too straight on the red, which meant he had to force the cue ball around and finish higher than he wanted to be. And that made that that double really difficult. It was always going to be a tricky double, but if he'd have finished, like I say, somewhere around about the blue spot, that would have been a much easier double. Wow. Wow. How often are you ever going to see that? He was just trying to nick a bit of the pocket to make sure he finished with an angle on the yellow. Well, in the context of this game, that is absolutely huge. 6-4 there with the break in Liam's favour, and you make him a 1-4 favourite. But it's 5 frames each. It's back in the balance. It's anyone's game.
Eleventh frame, Liam Dunster to break. 5 frames all, time running. Ball in hand, time running. Red ball's in play.
What a turnaround that is. From Liam looking like he should have gone 2 frames ahead at 6-4. Suddenly, well, he'll look back at a lot of rude chances here, won't he? There's a lot of them.
Frame, Chris Melling to break, leading 6 frames to 5, time running. Red ball's in play.
Sometimes it just doesn't need words. It's a joy to watch him when he's in this kind of rich vein of form. So fast around the table, one of the quickest players. Pleasure to watch. From somebody who was struggling a bit yesterday and just didn't look like he wanted to be here, struggling at the start of this match. Now suddenly he's just hit some super form. Looks really good. Great to watch.
As if another one goes.
13th frame, Liam Dunster to break.
Again, no trace of, no hint of Liam checking the rack. You're obviously very happy with the way this ref's been racking the balls. Usually you'd see him going down and just checking things out, but first job done. That was obviously a massive, massive break. Done the first part of it. Potted the ball. Now, what was he left with? Both sets. Again, not without their problems. I think.
Time running.
I think it has to be yellows. For two reasons. There's not an opener for reds for starters, and also I think the yellow and the red that are tied up towards the right of the black. I think the yellow may go, but the red clearly doesn't. So yellows he will go.
Yellow ball's in play.
This one's going to be again very much about cue ball control. Has to take him in a particular order. Can't necessarily play for areas here. The middle yellow of the three nearest the bulk line won't go to, oh wow, that is a massive error. And wow, he just last couple of events, you know, #1 player in last season, last year, and he just hasn't been here over the last couple of events. Knocked out by Ben Flack in event 1. Looks like he's just about to be knocked out by Chris Melling in event 2. Will he get back to the table? I don't think so. Be interesting to have a chat with with Liam at some point in the future, just to see what the changes are, what the differences are, what's actually going on with his game at the moment. He does seem to have sped up slightly. Whether that's a conscious decision. But this is a good performance from Chris. We all know what he's capable of, but he hasn't performed consistently over the last few events. Still not an absolute gimme. He's still got to negotiate this black. But this looks perfect. Cue ball naturally across. And this simple black. And Chris Melling marches through in the losers section. And we bid farewell as Liam Dunster will be heading back up the M6 to Scotland. Well, what about that then? A lot of people would have fancied Liam in that one, but Chris doing what Chris needed to do, and it's good to see Chris back at somewhere close to what he's capable of achieving. We're going to get Chris now into the interview room. We'll be back with you in just a few moments. Stick with us. He's fucking rushing around. So joined by Chris off the back of a good win there against Liam. I know you've got a lot of respect for him as a player, and he's a tough opponent, but it's good to see you back playing really well. Your thoughts on the game first?
Liam missed some uncharacteristic mistakes, really. I mean, he missed a couple of balls which he wouldn't normally miss, which gave me the chances. And I think he scratched twice on the break straight in, so that gave me the opportunity to obviously put some frames on him. But I feel like I'm playing as good as I've ever played. It's just obviously getting the opportunities. I mean, yesterday I think I had 7 dry breaks.
Yeah.
I missed a couple of chances myself, which obviously doesn't help.
Yeah.
But you get down on yourself, you know, when the break's going against you, because my biggest forte is breaking and clearing.
Yeah.
And when you're breaking them good as well,
Yeah.
and balls ain't going in, it's so frustrating.
And noticeably yesterday, I mean, you obviously changed to the tap break. It was almost a kind of ironic tap break, and 2 balls went in, and suddenly you started using it. You used it probably 4 or 5 times. Tried it again today, and it obviously wasn't working.
Yeah, I mean, the tap break, because we're using the rack where all the balls are touching, 2 balls will go in the middle nearly every break.
Yeah.
But obviously you've got to get 4 past the middle. So obviously there's that in the back of your mind, that you've got to hit them a little bit harder than normal. But I mean, I could break every game and guarantee 2 balls in the middle, every break.
Yeah.
But I might not get the 4 past the middle, which is a problem.
Sure.
Me personally, I don't like using the rack.
No.
I think it's too much of a leveller. I think I'm not going to sit here and dress it up and lie about it. I'm going to tell you the truth, and personally, I don't think we should be using it.
Yeah.
The standard of players is brilliant, you know, as good as it's ever been, and we don't need to use it. I mean, it's just levelling the game up for everybody.
Sure.
You know, I've got a really good break. Certain other players have got really good breaks. Certain players who I'm not going to mention haven't got good breaks, but it's a leveller.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden their break's as good as yours, which can make the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah.
Obviously, the standard of players is just unbelievable in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just get frustrated when you don't put balls off the break. It annoys me.
Just touching on yourself personally, I mean, you've obviously just picked up a sponsorship with Joy. I mean, congratulations on that. That's a big move forward, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was with Star, and they've been brilliant to me over the last 3 years. Can't say a bad word about them. They've always looked after me. But Joy, going forward, I feel that is the right move. They put more pool events on than most people in China. So for me personally, I just want to play pool and play as many events as possible.
Yeah. And obviously, just back from China as well, the last couple of days.
Yeah, I went on Tuesday. Last Tuesday, came back on the... Sorry, I went last Wednesday, came back on the Tuesday. Played 2 matches, which was 60 racks each day, which is pretty tiring.
Yeah.
Obviously, travelled one end of the world to the other as well, and back again.
Do you feel it? I mean, yesterday, just watching you against Sean, so I know your break wasn't going for you, but sometimes you didn't look like you were properly at the races. Were you feeling a bit jaded, perhaps?
I just get frustrated, and the reason I get frustrated, you know, again, I'm not gonna lie about things. I think it's too easy.
Yeah.
I'm being honest with you. I think the game's too easy. The standard of players, again, is brilliant, but the equipment's too easy. And that's nothing against Supreme, because I make the great tables, they're brilliant. But the problem is now we're playing on cloth that's ultra thin, that's really good.
Yeah.
We're playing on balls that are brand new all the time. The lighting, the pockets play bigger because of everything else.
I think Mick said a similar thing. He wants the game to be a bit harder. Then he can use his skills. He wants clusters of balls so he can break them out, and he can use his skill against his opponent.
Yeah, because your skill gets taken away from you. I mean, they changed the cue ball maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
There's no reason to change the cue ball. They just decided to do it for a marketing move. There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
It's the same size, it just weighs slightly more. But I mean, at the end of the day, you practice all your life to get used to equipment, then it changes.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't change in any other sport.
Yeah.
It's always the same.
Yeah.
You know, so why are we playing on different pocket sizes, different cloths? One's grey, one's blue, one's green.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going to get people that say, well, tennis is on clay, it's on grass. Do you know? Yeah, I understand that, but we're playing pool end of the day.
I wanted to just touch on something else. Something I was talking about yesterday. I think it's called the mirror system. So I mean, you obviously just played so many incredibly inventive shots. We saw one yesterday. We saw another one today. I mean, you don't just look to get out of a snooker. You don't just look like the one where you were looking to come off the bottom rail, side rail, flick the yellow. Most people would be looking just to, well, club players would be looking to hit it. Better players would be looking to pot it. You're looking to pot it and get position on the next ball.
Yeah.
And you use a system whereby, I mean, I see you do it, and I have no perception of what you're doing, because you're measuring from a corner, and then you're measuring from a rail you're not using, and there's only a couple of players I've ever seen do it. Can you, I mean, without obviously going into detail and giving away your secrets, can you just give us a, is it called the mirror system?
Well, I use 2 or 3 different systems on the same shot. I use a mirror image system, I use a diamond system, but obviously we don't have diamonds on the English pool table, so you have to imagine them, and my own system as well. What I use, which is basically just memory.
Yeah.
The first one I use is memory, thinking, do I hit there? And then obviously I reassure the shot with the two different systems. It doesn't always work. Again, it depends on whether that table's brand new, so the cushions will play soft. Yeah. Where in 2 weeks' time that cushion will play springy. So you've got to be wary of how the table plays also. But I mean, I'm not obviously trying to just hit the ball. I'm trying to make every ball out of a snooker. And luckily enough, I made one in the first match in the corner to get position onto the black 8 ball, and then the last match I made one as well. I think the last one was actually a little bit better than the first one. But yeah, I mean, it's just something that I've learned. It's not something you can really teach somebody. No. I've learned it through many years where it's just practice on my own. Yeah.
It's great to watch, I must admit. I'd love an insight into your brain sometimes when you're kind of measuring those shots, and it's like, what's he doing? It's like, it's not relevant. It doesn't appear to be relevant to the layman as to where you're measuring from, but it's great to watch. Yeah,
it's just, I mean, when I potted the ball in the middle, again, I used two different systems there. Yeah. And both where I thought I should aim was the exact same spot. Yeah. And then it just comes down to how hard you hit the cue ball, because obviously the harder you hit the cue ball, the more straight, and the more the ball's going to straighten. So I was obviously trying to play two cushions and clip it so that I could get position on the 8 ball. And straight after that, Liam missed a really easy ball in the corner pocket, which obviously let me straight back in. And I think his head went down a little bit after that, which every player in the game, I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are, if you put people under pressure, they all twitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, I mean, it's great to see you back in winning ways. I know you've got Leiden de Bono next. He's just given Phil Harrison a bit of a fright. I think Phil went through 11-9, so good luck against Leiden, one of the young Maltese players. I don't know if you've come across him.
Yeah, I know him. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I saw him a few weeks ago in Bridlington. Very good player. Yeah. Obviously, taking Phil to 11-9, he can obviously play to a very high level, so I've got to be on my game, and hopefully I play well.
Be great to see you in the business end, for sure.
I'm due one, yeah. I'm certainly due one. I haven't done well. I've had some tough draws, probably the toughest out of anybody. Yeah. You know, I've had Phil Harrison. I've had Phil Harrison twice. I've had Appleton twice. I've had Scott Gillespie. I've had Farnsworth. I've had Cousins. I mean, I've had, you know, God knows how many out.
But they've all had you.
Yeah, but I've not played as well as I can do. That's the problem. If I turn up and play as well as I can do, then I'm going to be very dangerous. But obviously I haven't been playing as much English pool as I'd like to play, because I'm so busy with the American pool and Chinese pool.
That's it, yeah.
So, unfortunately, you've got to go where the money is.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, always a pleasure to talk to you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So that's Chris Melling. He's going to stride on through the losers section. He's going to be playing Leiden de Bono next. We're going to be back in the main arena with the next game very shortly. See you soon.